I have talked about the structural theoretical orientation wherein I have given you certain points. Let me briefly revise what I have discussed last time. I was trying to make a connection between the cultural logical approach and structural theoretical approach in my last deliberations. So the connection is that cultural logical orientations has examined certainly the village community, the caste structures, or the institutional correlations. All these things was there in cultural logical orientations, wherein structural elements were studied. What does it mean the structural elements were studied? The structural elements studied but in two ways. One, it was studied in a descriptive manner. Number two, it was studied in a sociographic manner. What does it mean? It was studied in a descriptive manner. I think you understand what is called a descriptive study. But secondly, it refers to the sociographic analysis of the institutions or the village society or the cultural mobility of the people. So, in two ways, this cultural logical approach studied. If you take a clue from it, then come to structural orientations, you'll find, as I have referred to F.G. Bailey and his definitions, how structural studies try to study society. There, I think I have said very categorically that abstractions has to be formed immediately after you study a particular community. That means a community is studied, but how does this community studies are to be formed or analyzed? Of course, it may not be all the time in an abstract form, but rather a sociographic analysis, rather a sociological interpretations, rather a sociological wordings to describe these connotations are required. So that is where the structural theoretical orientation starts in Indian society. So therefore, if you take a clue from F.G. Bailey, he talks about abstractions immediately from the behavior what you are studying. So therefore, all these things is essential, these abstract formulations. Then I also talked about how these concepts like caste, class and power, of course it is by Andre Bethe. Then you have caste and class, maybe you can talk about Professor K.L. Sharma, caste and class. Then you can also talk about tribe, caste and nation. There I think F.G. Bailey has talked about caste, tribe, caste and nations. So I think all these formulations, further you can talk of caste, race and politics. This is by Bhatt. I think these studies, these analysis of Indian societies by taking these structural elements certainly strengthen the approach of structural theoretical orientations. So, in one way you can see that these theoretic orientations, specifically the structural theoretic orientations, have the elements wherein you can study society in a comparative manner. Comparative in the sense, one, how these concepts contributes to understand society, or how does these concepts are useful to analyze society. Secondly, you can also talk about how these concepts are linked together, or how these concepts supplements each other, how these concepts are making a sense to understand the social realities. So in this manner, the structural theoretical orientation studies, specifically you can talk about F.G. Bailey, you can talk about Andre Bethe, you can talk about Agrawal, you can talk about Ahmad Bhatt. I think all they have tried to study society from a structural theoretical orientations, where they try to explain change, they try to study the societal structure, also they try to study the change which has taken place in society. So studying the structure as well as change, what is called change studies. No society is a static society. You can look at society, that how society and societal institutions are getting changed over a period of time. So to locate the changes, is also very important sociologically, that you can locate such changes. So locating such changes also is the part of the structural theoretical orientations, where change is studied, but how change can be studied? So the one way to study change is time framework. Time framework. That what was the situation earlier? For example, if you talk about Andre Bethe's concept of caste, class and power, and if you refer to his studies in Tanjore village, what you can see? So he refers to that how in panchayat politics in South India, in panchayat politics, because of legislations and because of change in rural society, a group of people have migrated to cities, another group of people, those who are living in the village society, have a kind of have some kind of land and some kind of connections with local leaders. I think all that has helped to grab the power. The change in power structure, which has a connotation of caste as well as class, that you can locate in Tanjore village if you study or if you refer to the study of Andre Bethe. So change time framework, change through legislation, change through urbanizations. I think these are the elements, or these are the social happenings on the basis of which change can be located, change can be studied. So Andre Bethe has rightly done that, to whom we put in this structural theoretical orientations. Apart from that, if you refer to the studies which were there in 1970s, so the studies during 1970s were urban surveys. These urban surveys were done by D'Souza 1957 to 1969. Then planning commissions and planning commission survey reports, all that somehow indicates there is a structural theoretical orientation exhibit in Indian society and in the studies of Indian society by the sociologist. I think that's all about the structural theoretical orientations.